It was a cold autumn evening in 1984 when the Forrester family, looking for a fresh start, arrived at Epping House. The old estate, nestled deep within Epping Forest, had been abandoned for over a decade, its grandeur faded by time. The locals in the nearby village whispered about the house, claiming it was cursed. But the Forrester family, unaware of the history, were determined to make it their home. The atmosphere was heavy, almost suffocating, as the wind howled through the trees. That first night, the house creaked and groaned as if it were alive. The wind howled, but it wasn't just the wind. At midnight, a loud bang echoed through the house, waking the family. The parents, confused and frightened, rushed downstairs, only to find nothing. The children, wide-eyed, insisted they had heard footsteps in the hallway. But there was no one there. It was as if the house itself was trying to communicate something. The following morning, strange footprints appeared on the dusty floorboards, leading from the living room to the staircase. The footprints were small, too small for any of the Forrester family. When questioned, the children swore they hadn't seen anyone, but the footprints didn't lie. The house had secrets, secrets that no one was ready to face. Late one night, as the family sat in the living room, the soft sound of whispering began to emanate from the walls. At first, it was subtle, just a murmur. But as the hours passed, the whispers grew louder, more distinct. The words were incomprehensible, but the tone was unmistakably hostile. The family sat frozen, unable to move, as the voices seemed to encircle them. It was their youngest daughter, Lucy, who first disappeared. One evening, she wandered into the forest near the house, drawn by something unseen. Her parents searched the woods for hours, calling her name, but it was as if she had vanished into thin air. The only trace left behind was a small, blood-stained ribbon she had been wearing. The forest, silent and foreboding, held its secrets close. That night, as the family lay in bed, they heard Lucy's voice calling out from the darkness. Her voice was faint, as if coming from miles away, but unmistakably hers. Desperate, the parents followed the sound, but it led them to a dark corner of the attic. There, they found an old, cracked mirror, and in its reflection stood Lucy, her face pale and hollow, staring at them with empty eyes. The Forrester family sought help from the village historian, Mrs. Davenport. She spoke of a tragic past, of a family that once lived in Epping House, long before it was abandoned. The family had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only their screams. The townspeople believed the house had a curse, one that claimed the souls of those who dared to live there. The Forrester family was now part of that grim legacy. One afternoon, as the family was trying to clear the overgrown garden, they uncovered something strange beneath the soil, a message carved into the dirt. It read, "Don't stay. It feeds on you." The words were scrawled in an almost frantic manner, as if someone had written them in desperation. But there was no sign of who had written them. The next night, as the family sat in the living room, they saw a shadow moving across the window. It was tall and thin, and it seemed to watch them from outside. When they rushed to the window to confront it, no one was there. But the shadow remained in their minds, lingering like a presence just beyond there. The whispers from the walls grew louder, almost deafening. It was no longer just a murmur but an all-encompassing sound. The family could no longer distinguish the voices from the house itself. It was as if the walls were alive, breathing, and speaking to them in a language they couldn't understand. Each night, the voices grew more insistent, more aggressive. Lucy returned one night, though she was not the same. Her skin was cold to the touch, her eyes hollow and dark. She spoke in a voice that wasn't hers, a voice that seemed to come from deep within the earth itself. "It wants you," she whispered. "It wants all of you." Before they could react, she disappeared again, leaving behind only a chilling sense of dread. The family's fears turned to horror when the father, Robert, was found dead in the attic. His body was twisted in unnatural angles, his eyes wide open in terror. The autopsy found no cause of death, but the marks on his body, deep scratches, as if something had clawed its way out of him, told a different. With Robert's death, the house seemed to tighten its grip on the family. The mother, Sarah, began to lose her mind. She would stare into empty corners, speaking to things that weren't there. "It's watching us," she would say, her voice trembling with fear. "It's getting closer." The children, too, began to behave strangely, as if the house had already begun to take hold of their souls. One night, the family encountered the entity that had haunted the house. It appeared as a tall, dark figure, with hollow eyes and a twisted grin. It moved in unnatural jerks, its form constantly shifting as if it were made of shadows and fear. The air grew thick with malice as the creature slowly advanced toward them. Desperate to escape, the family tried to leave the house. But no matter which door they opened, they found themselves back in the same room, the same hallway. It was as if the house had become a labyrinth, trapping them inside its walls. The entity watched from the shadows, waiting for them to break. Months later, the house stood empty. The Forrester family was never found, their fate sealed by the malevolent force that haunted Epping House. The house remained, its windows dark and its doors sealed shut. The whispers within the walls faded, but they were never truly gone. The house was hungry, and it would wait for the next victims to arrive. In 1985, a new family moved into Epping House. They were unaware of the horrors that awaited them. The house, with its whispers and shadows, began to stir again. The cycle was about to begin once more, and the house would once again claim the souls of those who dared to live within its walls. Every few years, new families came and went. Some stayed for months, others only days. But none ever left unchanged. The house fed on fear, and as long as it stood, the cycle would continue. The house remained a place of darkness, a place where souls were lost forever. And so, the curse of Epping House lives on. The whispers never stop, and the house never ceases to hunger. Those who hear its call are doomed to join the restless spirits trapped within. The forest around it remains dark and cold, a place of forgotten souls and unspoken horrors. And if you ever find yourself near Epping Forest, beware the old house, for it is watching, waiting, and hungry.